Running on Air by 11ty7, Chapter 14, Part 2. When he appears in the middle of the guesthouse room, Draco is there. Standing on the balcony, gazing out across the dark horizon of the Cornish coastline, but he turns to look at Harry after a moment.
Sorry,
Draco says. It's odd to remember Harry thinks how he used to be infuriated by Draco's arrogance at Hogwarts. That sheer refusal to apologize or admit wrong or do anything vaguely resembling moral responsibilities.
The little ferret wouldn't even apologize if his life depended on it,
Ron had once said, and Harry had laughed. Seeing Draco Malfoy apologize, they had agreed, would be one of the most victorious moments in their lives. There is nothing about this moment that feels victorious.
You left,
Harry says.
4 days.
The words drop into the air like heavy stones.
I know. You left. Do you have any idea?
Harry quickly cuts himself off, aware of the tremor beneath his voice. He's horrified at the idea of losing composure now, and he strides to the bedside table, searching blindly for the keycard. Something, anything to focus on. Draco steps away from the balcony, crosses the room in a few swift strides and holds out the Renault keycard.
Is that what you're looking for?
Harry reaches out to take the keycard, but before he realizes what's happening, Draco seized his hand and isn't letting go.
I shouldn't have left, Draco says. Well, I shouldn't have insulted you,
Harry mutters, distracted by the intensity of Draco's voice. Draco pulls him closer, just a little, and Harry wonders, his pulse suddenly picking up and rushing along like crashing waves, if Draco will kiss him. But he doesn't. He just smiles faintly and says,
Is that an apology?
Yes, Harry says. But truth be told, he's hardly paying attention to the conversation now. He doesn't think he's ever been this close to Draco, and he wonders how he never noticed the faint flecks of slate blue hiding in his grey irises.
Then stay,
Draco says, and Harry, gaze dropping to Draco's mouth, takes a moment to catch up to the words.
What?
He asks at last.
Stay.
Draco repeats, letting go of Harry's hand and stepping away. He holds up the keycard.
You were going to leave, weren't you? What?
Harry, suddenly aware that he's staring at Draco and apparently unable to construct coherent sentences, reddens slightly.
Oh, right. No. I mean, yes.
Draco's faint smile is giving way to clear amusement.
Are you always this articulate when you're tired, Potter?
Harry seizes up on the excuse with great relief.
Tired? Yes. Suppose I should get some rest.
Draco sets the keycard onto Harry's bedside table.
See you in the morning, then,
he says.
Where are you going?
Harry asks, feeling sudden trepidation.
I'm going to have a shower,
Draco says, picking a folded towel up from the end of the other bed and disappearing into the ensuite. Harry thinks he'll stay awake for some time, but after he's climbed into bed, he finds himself lulled by the sound of the waves, the sound of water humming, and soon he falls asleep. He wakes up once just before dawn. There's a faint, grey light filtering through the windows, casting weak shadows through the room. The sun is only just beginning to rise, he thinks. A few feet away from him, on the other bed, he can see the faint silhouette of Draco sleeping. Facing away from Harry, curled in on himself as if trying to disappear, and Harry wonders if Draco ever has nightmares about the war. Harry does, but so does everyone. Ron, Hermione, Ginny, Neville, all of them. All the people who saw friends and family die before them. all those who had Voldemort's voice echoing throughout Hogwarts, the place they always considered an untouchable haven. All those who watched the castle crumble around them. Some people like to talk about the war, some people don't. Harry doesn't. Ron doesn't either, but Hermione does. Ginny tried to speak about it with Harry, but gave up after her initial attempts were met with silence. It had been a point of contention between them for a while.
"You'll feel better if you just talk about it,"
Ginny had said, and Harry had pointed out quite calmly that he did feel better about it. It had happened, and that was that. Yes, of course there were nightmares, but everybody has nightmares. Falling from heights or being chased or dying in unpleasant ways. It's all the same. Everyone fears something. You were always so terrified of failure. Maybe Draco dreams of all the times he failed. And maybe he views it as a failure, running away 3 years ago. But he came back, and then he ran away again after their argument. But he came back. 4 days, but he came back and apologized.
He's trying, Harry thinks.
And he's getting better. And that is the opposite of failure. Sometime after sunrise it begins to rain. Even the warmth of summer cannot deter the low clouds rolling in across the horizon. Harry goes for an early morning run, a habit left over from his aura training. He comes back, slick with mud and sweat, and takes a hot shower. Draco's still asleep, he thinks, and he goes downstairs to breakfast. Typical that after Draco's returned, it rains. All this nice weather, and all he did was walk moodily along the cliffs and think of Draco, and now he's finally happy it's pouring. When he returns to the room, Draco's dressed and looking out the window, watching the raindrops race each other along the glass plane. Harry's strongly reminded of that day in the apartment when Draco first spoke to him.
"It's a nice view, Potter, but that isn't you, is it? This is nothing, a concrete box in the sky. You need something grounded, something real."
Maybe the rain isn't so bad, Harry thinks. It reminds him of all those grey winter days and foggy mornings, all those nights driving, and driving with the ghost of Draco beside him.
We could go anywhere. "You didn't bring me tea," Draco observes,
snapping Harry from his reverie.
"Oh, I was supposed to."
Harry's amused. Draco gives him a look.
"No milk, 1 sugar."
Harry humours him.
"All right. Anything else?"
Draco looks startled.
"What?" "Anything else?"
Harry repeats, smiling. Draco gives him an annoyed look.
"I thought you'd say something about spoiled Malfoys giving orders," he says. "You're not supposed to agree and smile." "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll try to be more predictable."
Harry teases, refusing to be drawn into an argument. This is what happened last time, he reminds himself. Both of them taking everything far too seriously and getting defensive over nothing.
"Well, let me guess. Now's the part where I storm off and you sulk for hours." "I don't sulk. I reflect on my life," Draco says loftily. "And I don't storm off. I make strategic departure," Harry says.
Draco glances away, but Harry can see a smile hiding in the corner of his mouth. It's odd, Harry thinks, how he and Ron always thought hearing Draco apologize would be their moment of victory. But Harry feels more victorious here and now watching Draco smile. Draco's getting better. It's a strange thing to think, because Draco was never sick, Harry thinks. There were never any symptoms, never any illness, but he's getting better somehow. Something about the way he watches the rain and tells Harry that every raindrop has a different diameter. Or the way he decides he wants a nice bottle of wine and drives for half an hour to Helston because he says all the local pubs only have watered-down bleach. And then he changes his mind anyway and chooses a bottle of 25-year-old Glenmorangie.
"How much did that cost?"
Harry asks as they're driving back to Landudneck.
"The exact price," Draco says, "of your ex-fiancé's engagement ring."
Yes, Harry thinks. Draco is getting better. Later in the evening, Draco, lying across one of the beds, reads a well-thumbed book entitled Flowers for Algernon. Harry tilts his head and reads the blurb.
That sounds depressing, he observes, and boring. Thank you, Potter, for that literary criticism. Why don't you run along and finish reading the top 10 female player article in Quidditch Weekly? I do read, you know. Oh, that's a lie. I'm not counting magazines. Well, or road atlases. Fine, but... Or books that other people have left lying around and you've picked them up, skimmed a few paragraphs, and then put them back down.
Harry starts laughing. Draco drops the book and rolls over onto his back, looking up at Harry.
What's so funny? He demands.
Harry shakes his head, still laughing.
It's like you know me. I know lots of things about you.
Draco grins, and Harry's heart seems to stutter for a second. It's an interesting angle, he thinks. Him standing by the bed, Draco lying across it, grinning up at him. And he's caught between disappointment and relief when Draco sits up and reaches for the book, setting it onto the bedside table.
Do you?
Harry asks vaguely, still a little distracted.
I know you're fond of standing on balconies drinking neat whiskey,
Draco says, picking up the bottle of Glenmorangie next to the book.
Shall we?
Harry stares at him, all amusement forgotten.
But you could only see me when I was in your memories or going through your possessions. Near my possessions, I said. And if I recall correctly, you used to carry my driver's license around sometimes, and my car key was frequently in your pocket.
All those times standing on the balcony and gazing at the world, and Draco was there with him.
What else did you see then?
Harry demands.
Nothing much, really. You're quite boring. Stand around staring into space a lot. Same as you, Harry retorts. I suppose we have something in common then.
Draco lifts one shoulder in a careless shrug.
Fetch some glasses. What am I, the house elf? I am not going. Yesterday, when I asked the receptionist if I could book in, she gave me a 30-minute dissertation on the local walking trails. You know, normal people might find that welcoming. That's what locals do, friendly chats. Then off you go, Potter, and have a friendly chat with the endearing locals.
Harry concedes defeat and leaves. He reappears 40 minutes later. Draco is smiling.
Shut up, Harry says. I didn't say anything. I thought I'd be trapped forever. She kept going on about the native plants along the coastal tracks. Did she? How fascinating.
Draco takes the glass tumblers from Harry's hands, his fingers brushing fleetingly along Harry's.
Yes, fascinating,
Harry says dryly, watching as Draco sets the glasses down and opens the bottle of Glenmorangie.
You have it neat, if I recall, Draco says. I'll take mine on the rocks.
He taps his wand against a glass of water on the bedside table, and the water instantly transforms into ice cubes.
You do know that chilling the whiskey suppresses flavor and aroma,
Harry says conversationally. Draco pauses halfway through pouring Harry's glass and stares at him.
What? Harry asks. Sometimes,
Draco says.
You can be quite surprising.
Harry hides a smile as Draco pours 2 neat whiskies. They stand on the balcony despite the bruised clouds rolling in across the horizon. The sun has set early, sinking under the weight of rain and grey sky. Harry leans on the railing, glass in one hand, and looks at the churning waves of the ocean.
Storm's coming,
he observes, taking another sip of the Glenmorangie. He waits for an acerbic remark from Draco.
Really, Potter? How observant of you.
But Draco is silent. Harry looks at him. He suits a storm. His pale complexion and white blonde hair seem almost luminescent against the charcoal grey clouds.
I like storms,
Draco says at last. He looks down at his glass, then downs the rest of it.
Draco,
Harry says quietly, recognizing the signs. The abstract way Draco speaks. The way he stares closely at objects.
The summer storms always felt like coming home. Draco,
Harry repeats.
This is real.
Draco looks at his empty glass.
I know. Do you?
A pause. Then Draco reaches out and takes Harry's hand.
Yes,
he says. They're real.
When you were trapped in time, we couldn't make contact, could we? So this must be real.
A simple little strategy. Necessary contact for the sake of reality. That's all. Harry is walking a dangerous line and he knows it. He tightens his grip around Draco's hand as they stand together to watch the storm roll in.